On a chilly autumn evening, Annabelle found herself at the local Walmart, her shopping list in hand. She had a penchant for late-night shopping. The empty aisles and dimly lit store gave her a sense of solitude that she cherished. Little did she know that this particular trip would shake her to her core. As she navigated the well-known aisles, Annabelle couldn't help but feel a lingering sense of unease. Something about the store seemed different tonight, as if the usual ambient hum of activity had been replaced by an eerie stillness. She brushed off her discomfort, chalking it up to her overactive imagination. But her unease deepened when she approached the checkout lanes. There, behind the counter, stood a young man named Eric, one of the store's employees. Annabelle had seen him there many times before, but tonight he was different. His gaze was fixed on her, and his expression was one of sheer dread. As Annabelle placed her items on the conveyor belt, she noticed that Eric's hands were trembling as he scanned her purchases. Beads of sweat dotted his forehead, and he appeared pale, as if he had seen a ghost. His lips moved, but he seemed unable to form words. "Are you all right?" Annabelle finally asked, concern etching her voice. Eric snapped out of his stupor, managing to mutter a weak, "Yes, I'm fine. Just a bit tired." Annabelle felt uneasy, but she decided not to press further. She paid for her items and hurried out of the store, eager to escape the bizarre encounter. As she walked to her car, she couldn't shake the feeling that Eric's eyes were still fixed on her, following her every move. The following day, Annabelle sat in her cozy living room, sipping her morning coffee and browsing through the local newspaper. Her heart froze when she stumbled upon a headline that sent shivers down her spine. The article reported a tragic accident that had occurred a few days prior, a car crash on a lonely stretch of road, resulting in the death of the driver, Eric Reynolds. Annabelle's mind reeled as she recalled the strange encounter at Walmart. How could Eric have been working there the previous evening when he had met such a tragic end days before? Her thoughts swirled with questions and confusion, and she couldn't escape the unsettling feeling that she had encountered something beyond the realm of the living. Unable to contain her curiosity, Annabelle decided to visit the Walmart once more, hoping to find some answers. As she entered the store, she felt a sense of trepidation, as if the walls themselves held secrets she was not meant to uncover. Approaching the checkout lanes, Annabelle was greeted by a different employee behind the counter. She inquired about Eric, describing the young man she had encountered the previous evening. The employee's face contorted into a perplexed expression. "Ma'am, I've been working here for years, and there's no one by that name on our staff." "Are you sure you're not mistaken?" Annabelle's heart sank as the realization dawned upon her. She had seen Eric. She had interacted with him, but now it seemed he had never existed in the first place. She left the store with more questions than answers, haunted by the possibility that she had come face to face with a ghost. To this day, Annabelle can't explain the enigma of that night at Walmart. Was it a mere illusion, a trick of the mind, or had she truly encountered the spirit of Eric Reynolds, a young man whose tragic end was intertwined with the mysterious and inexplicable? The memory of that eerie encounter continues to linger, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are destined to remain unsolved. Tom, a middle-aged man with salt and pepper hair, had just finished a long day at the office. He was exhausted but needed to pick up a few groceries from Walmart before heading home. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as he entered the store, and the bustling sounds of shopping carts and chattering customers filled the air. Tom made his way through the aisles, grabbing items from his mental checklist. As he approached the pet food section, something peculiar caught his eye. It was a shopping cart, partially filled with bags of pet food, abandoned in the middle of the aisle. Curiosity piqued. Tom glanced around but saw no one nearby. He assumed someone had left their cart there and decided to investigate. Perhaps they had rushed off to grab something they'd forgotten. As he reached the cart, he noticed something odd about the bags of pet food. They were all open, and kibble was strewn across the floor. It looked as if someone had ripped the bags apart with their bare hands. Tom frowned and began to pick up the scattered kibble, muttering about the store's lack of cleanliness. But then he heard the faint sound of whimpering coming from behind a towering stack of pet food bags. His heart raced as he approached the source of the sound. What could possibly be making that noise? Tom cautiously moved aside the bags and was met with a sight that sent a chill down his spine. In the small space behind the bags, a dog cowered, its fur matted and covered in dirt. Its eyes were filled with terror, and it trembled as it tried to inch away from Tom. It appeared to be abandoned, left to fend for itself amid the aisles of Walmart. Tom's heart ached for the poor creature. He reached out a hand to soothe the dog, but it yelped and backed away, clearly terrified of him. Tom knew he couldn't just leave the dog there, so he carefully approached, speaking in gentle, reassuring tones. After some time, the dog cautiously allowed Tom to approach and pet it. It had a collar but no tag, leaving its identity and owner a mystery. Tom decided to call store security and inform them of the situation. They agreed to check the security footage to see if they could identify who had abandoned the dog. As Tom waited for security to arrive, he couldn't shake the eerie feeling that had settled over him. Who could have done such a heartless thing, leaving a helpless animal in a Walmart aisle? The more he thought about it, the more unsettling it became. When security finally arrived, they reviewed the surveillance footage, but what they discovered was baffling. The dog suddenly just appeared from a blind spot. He never walked through any of the entrances. Even more bizarre, in the hours before Tom noticed the dog, only one man walked into the blind spot. And after that, he completely disappears from the surveillance cameras. Then the video showed the dog wandering the aisles alone, as if searching for something. Tom left the store that night with the dog safely in the care of the local animal shelter, but the experience haunted him. He couldn't explain how the dog had ended up in the pet food aisle, and the mystery of its sudden appearance remained unsolved. As he drove home, Tom couldn't help but glance in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see the dog sitting in his backseat. its eyes filled with an unspoken message. Late one Friday evening, the bustling aisles of Walmart slowly emptied as the clock ticked past midnight. Sarah, a college student on a tight budget, had decided to take advantage of the late hours to do her shopping. She hoped the store's deserted state would make her trip quick and hassle-free. As she wandered through the brightly lit store, her cart filled with groceries, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She chalked it up to her overactive imagination and the occasional glance from a few other shoppers meandering in the distance. In the electronics section, Sarah paused to browse through discounted DVDs. The overhead fluorescent lights hummed softly, casting harsh shadows on the shelves. That's when she noticed him, a tall, lanky man in a tattered jacket, standing just beyond the aisle. His dark, unkempt hair obscured most of his face. Sarah's heart skipped a beat as their eyes met. The man's gaze was piercing and intense, sending shivers down her spine. Her instincts screamed at her to leave, but she chastised herself for being paranoid. After all, it was just another late-night shopper, albeit a rather unsettling one. Continuing her shopping, Sarah noticed that the man seemed to be everywhere she went, always lingering at the periphery of her vision. She couldn't shake the eerie sensation that he was following her. She decided to head for the checkout lanes, her cart filled to the brim. As she walked down the deserted aisles, the unsettling feeling intensified. It was as if the man was shadowing her every move. Sarah reached the checkout lanes and chose the one furthest from the entrance, hoping to lose her mysterious follower in the process. She paid for her groceries, keeping a wary eye on the entrance, expecting the man to appear at any moment. As the cashier handed her the receipt, Sarah finally let out a sigh of relief. She thought she had escaped the strange man's presence, but just as she turned to leave, she saw him standing at the entrance, his dark eyes locked onto hers. Fear gripped her, and she bolted for the exit. Her footsteps echoed through the empty store as she ran towards her car in the dimly lit parking lot. She fumbled with her keys, her heart pounding in her chest. Just as she reached her car and unlocked the door, a voice called out from the shadows, making her freeze in her tracks. It was the man, the one who had been following her all night. "Wait," he said, his voice strangely calm and composed. "I'm not here to harm you." Terror and confusion warred within Sarah as she turned to face them. In the dim glow of the parking lot lights, she saw something that sent chills down her spine. The man's jacket bore the unmistakable logo of the store's uniform. Sarah's mind raced, trying to make sense of the inexplicable. How could he be both an employee and a stranger who had been stalking her throughout the store? She didn't wait for an answer. With a burst of adrenaline-fueled courage, she jumped into her car and sped away from the Walmart, never looking back. Have you ever encountered something strange when shopping? Let me know in the comments, and please leave a like and subscribe. For more hair-raising stories, click on one of these videos. Thank you.